Okay, this video is on Vav conjunction. Vav conjunction. When I mean Vav conjunction, I mean the English word and, something which combines words. Now in Hebrew, the conjunction does not stand alone. It is not independent word like and. When you write in English and Mary and Elizabeth, okay, the conjunction and is independent. Okay, it is not attached to a particular word. We don't write it as and Elizabeth. We don't combine them together. All right, but in Hebrew, the Vav conjunction does not stand alone. It is always prefixed to a following word. So it has a very similar pattern to the inseparable prepositions, in that the form of the conjunction is determined by the consonants that stand at the beginning of a word to which it is prefixed. All right. So bear that in mind as we move on. So what is the standard form of the conjunction? Let me choose a different color. All right. The standard is a vav with a vocal sheva. The standard is a vav and a vocal sheva. This is translated as and. Okay. Now, although this vowel will vary, the pointing will vary, every vav on the beginning of a word is a conjunction. Every vav at the beginning of a word is a conjunction. Let me repeat that. Although the vowel pointing will vary, like this is going to vary, every vav on the beginning of a word is a conjunction. Now you may ask, is there not words that begin with vav in itself? There are hardly, very few of them, and appear very rarely in the Hebrew Bible. So 99% of the time you can be assured that every vav on the beginning of a word is a conjunction. The form will look different, but the vav will always become constant. When I say form will be different, the vowel pointings will be different. So let us see the first rule that we have in 6.12. 6.12. Okay, it is usually written as vav, it is usually written as vav with a vocal sheva before consonants pointed with a full vowel, except for be, me, and pe. Alright, so I have this word, ha, aretz. I have another word called koshek. So the rule says that it will be written prefix to it with a vav and a vocal sheva before consonant. This is a consonant. This is a consonant. Before consonants pointed with a full vowel. Now this is a full vowel, and this, in this case, cholem, is a full vowel. All right. So it is usually written vav with a vocal sheva before consonants, in this case both these consonants, that have a full vowel. That's how the form is. All right. Will not trouble you. The moment you see a form like that, you translate and. Ha is the, aretz is earth, and the earth. Here it is ha koshek, means and, literally darkness, but that's bad English, so and darkness. Now, this rule is not applicable. Very, very important. It is not applicable if the initial consonant is a bet, mem, or a pe. Once again, if the initial consonant does not apply, if initial consonant is a bet, me, and a pe. So the next obvious question is, all right, what if the initial consonant is a bet, mem, or a pe? Then what will be the form of the Vav conjunction? And the answer to that is, you need to remember the word bump. Bump. the bump rule. Bump is now be, any consonant beginning with be, or a mem, or a pe, will have the shurek as a signal. Use. Okay, will have the U. In other words, it will have shurek before it. So, let me show how that works now. We'll have shurek. Okay, so I have this word which is bane. Bane is between. All right, bane. Now, obviously, it has a dageshlene in it, and because this is a consonant that begins with a bet, which in that case will follow the bump rule. Okay, because it's a bet, so it will be a shurek. The moment I put shurek before, remember, this dageshlene will vanish. Why will the dageshlene vanish? Because it is now preceded by a vowel, so it will vanish. So the final form will be uven. So the pronunciation will also change. Uven. Uven. Alright? Uven. And between. Easy to translate. Whenever you see a vav at the beginning, the form is different. It's a shurek, but it's still got a vav there. And bain is between. Alright? Let me show you another example. The next example is the word peri. Peri is, you've studied this before, is a fruit. A fruit. Peri, again it has a dagesh lene. This is the word, a fruit, and I want to say and a fruit. And because this word begins with a pe, it will be pointed with a shurek. The moment I put a shurek, this vanishes off. Okay, the dagesh lene vanishes off because now we are proceeding with that. So the bump rule, we'll remember. Okay, the second part of this rule is that it is also a shurek before consonants pointed with a simple sheva. When you have consonants pointed with a simple sheva, then also it is shurek. So it's not only it's a bump rule. It is a shurek when the initial consonant is a be, mem, or a pe, but it's also shurek when the consonant is pointed with a simple sheva. Let me show you an example, and for this, the example is a word called ne, ke, nekevo. Nekevo. And that is female, alright? Female. Nekevo is female. And I want to say and female. So now you have a nun. Okay, so it's not part of the bump rule, but you have a nun, which is a consonant, with a simple sheva. So the rule is, if it is a consonant pointed with a simple sheva, then you will have a shurek. Okay, so the final form is une. Now remember, une. This has become a vocal sheva because it's now preceded by a long vowel. Of course, by now you know shurek itself, it's his own syllable. So I would have broken it out here, the syllable, because it's his own syllable. So this is obviously a vocal sheva. So une kevo. Let me read that again. Une ke nekeva. Okay, I'm sorry, there's no dot here. That's what confused me. Une keva. Alright, there's no dot there. Can't be two vowels there. Okay, so this is and a female. Fair enough? But there's an exception to this rule. So I said consonants with a sheva will have shurek. The exception is when you have take a guess. Yes, you guessed it. It is yod with the sheva. Yeah. So what happens when it's a yod with a sheva? Let me tell you what the form is. When it is a yod with a sheva, like Yehuda, Yehuda is Judah, and I want to say and Judah. So I bring the Vav conjunction before. So now you have two vocal Sheva at the beginning. Both are vocal Sheva. Now what is the rule of the Shevas in the beginning of a word when you have two vocal Shevas at the beginning of the word? The first, I'm so sorry, I'm coughing. The first one becomes a kirek, and the second becomes a silent Sheva. Likewise, the first becomes a kirek, second becomes a silent Sheva. Okay, now this has become a silent Sheva. Okay, now tell me the drill. You know it very well. By now, this is functioning as a consonant, but it becomes a unit when it is with the kirek, and it becomes a kirek yod. So now this functions as a vowel, and this drops out. So what is the final form? The final form will be a word like Vihuda. Now, is it going to be a challenge for you? No. You will recognize Yehuda. Some gymnastics you will have to figure, okay, this is a kirek yod, so that contraction has taken place. But this verb will pretty much tell you it's an and. And Yehuda, you can pretty read it out loudly and you will say, and it is Judah. Okay? It's a little bit of an investigative game at this point in time, but you pretty much get the drill. Okay. Now, the next rule is 6.15. Before hey, so before hey with a simple Sheva and a ket with a simple Sheva, the conjunction changes to hirek because it does not contract the following Sheva. That's pretty much straightforward. What does that mean? I have a word like he, ye, tem. Okay? So I have a word with he, which is now he with the vocal Sheva. And I'm bringing the vav with the vocal Sheva. The two vocal Shevas come in front, and what happens? He becomes a kirek, and this becomes a silent Sheva. Okay? This is now a silent Sheva. Okay? So this is the final form. Likewise, another word. The next word is a word called ket with a vocal Sheva. Ku, and I bring my and Vav conjunction, the two vocal Shevas at the beginning. Hebrew will not permit that, so he will become a hirek, and this is a silent Sheva, and that's the form it takes. Alright, will you recognize it? Yes, it's a Vav. You will translate it as an and if you know the meaning of kevu, you will be able to translate it. Okay, so now that is that rule. Okay, again another recap of the rule. Remember the rule of gutturals, where you have a guttural which has a short vowel, and if you have a vocal Sheva before it, Hebrew will not allow these two vocal Shevas also. So in that case, what does happen? It doesn't turn into a kirek, but it takes the short vowel that is below that guttural. That is a khatipatak vowel, whatever that is. If the short vowel is a segol, then that is what is absorbed in as under the this one. It will be a segol. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If you know this, the next one is easy. So you have the next one, next rule. 6.16. So before a consonant pointed with a compound Sheva. So you have a word like ani. Ani. You have, this is ani is I. And you want to say and I. Ani is the word. This has a kate patak vowel. Alright? This is a kate patak vowel. And you want to say and I. So you bring the Vav with the vocal Sheva together. Now you have two vocal Shevas at the beginning of the word. So this will not, Hebrew will not permit that. This will not become a kirek, but it will take the short vowel, that is the same short vowel, that is a Pata. There will always be a meteg in such instances. You should know why the meteg exists. The meteg will always be there. Is always going to be placed there. Let me look at another word called emet. 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 And you see you have a vocal shava here, and I want to say and truth. Emet is truth. Okay, truth. I will say and truth. So I bring my vav with a vocal shava. Now I again have two vocal shavas at the beginning. Hebrew will not allow it, but this one will not turn into a kirek because the next one is a compound shava, so it will take the same vowels as that. So it will be a segol and a meteg. So it will be we emet. Or the third example, which gives you the third khatib patak vowel, is the word called kholi. Kholi. This is, remember, it's a kamitz katuf. Kamitz katuf is the word kholi. It's written wrong in the book. It doesn't have the shava in the book, but this is how it is. And here, I put the vav, and then the vocal shava. Two vocal shavas will not be there in front, so the first one will not become a kirek. It will take the same form as the short vowel. In this case, is kamitz katuf. But there's a meteg. Now you remember, you'd say, Maman, you told me meteg means it is a kamitz. Hang on. Yes, I did tell you that. But here the rule is slightly different because you should know the rules of the meteg. The rules of the meteg says, and I go back to that chapter, where was it? Chapter number 3. Or was it? Yes. Chapter number 4. Rule number 4.11. Please read that. It is often used with short vowels. That's a short vowel. It is often used, meteg is often used with short vowel that stand immediately before compound shavas. This is a compound shava. So that's why the meteg is there. The meteg out here is not there to tell you it's a kamitz, but here the meteg is there because it is used with short vowels that stand immediately before compound shavas. This is the compound shavas, and this is trying to tell you I am a short vowel in this case. Alright? So know with the rules of meteg. I told you two rules of meteg you must remember. 4.11 and 4.12. Very important rules. That you need to remember. Okay? And the last rule that I need to teach you on the Vav conjunction relates with 6.17, and that is pretty much straightforward. Before monosyllable words or before accented syllables of word with two or more syllables, the Vav conjunction will be written Vav with the kamitz. Okay. Monosyllable words. I have a word called Ra. Is this a monosyllable word? Yes. So where is this accent? Well, it is in the monosyllable word itself. So before such words, it will be written Va with the kamitz. So remember, before monosyllable words, it will be written as Vav with the kamitz. But it will also be written as Vav with the kamitz when it is attached to the accented syllable of a word. Accented syllable of two or more syllables. Accented syllable of two or more syllable word. Okay, so let me give you an example. A good example would be the word remesh. Or rather it's remes, because that's a sin. Now this is got two full vowels, so it's a bisyllable, it's a two-syllable word. I can break it like this perfectly. Now you will remember that there's a munak here, so the accented syllable, so therefore it's an accented syllable. So if I am going to attach a vav to the accented syllable of a bisyllable word or even a trisyllable word, it will always going to be kamitz. So bear in mind. Is it going to challenge you? The answer is no. You will still you will always recognize the vav and you will translate it as and. If you know what's remesh, that's creepy things creeping things, you will translate it likewise. Okay, and this comes to the end of the Vav conjunction. Pretty straightforward a class. Always remember that the vowel pointing may vary, but every Vav on the beginning of a word is a conjunction. Let me repeat that. Although the vowel pointings vary, every Vav on the beginning of a word is the conjunction. Now, if you want to see the statistics, you can refer to my PDF which I have uploaded and see how there are only 10 words in the Hebrew language which itself begins with Vav, and they are used about 30 times in the Hebrew Bible, if I'm not mistaken. With that. Let me put it as a disclaimer on that. Okay, having said that, this comes to the end of this lesson. Have a great evening.